Hey guys, real quick before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that our Black Friday sale on shawstrength.com is now live. We have up to 60% off select items. This includes Undefined Nutrition, Evolution Athletics, and of course, everything from Shaw Strength. If you have listened to the podcast, you know we do not have a sponsor for the podcast, and everything that we do, all the content that we produce is something that I am funding through those businesses. So your support of this sale and support in general of the podcast, sharing the podcast, all of it is very much appreciated. We have grown tremendously and we will continue to grow with your support. Thank you guys and enjoy the podcast. The 300-pound goal is achieved.
Oh, it's coming.
The power, the mass, I mean, just this animal, the animal that will come in February, right? Hopefully you won't sound quite that bad, but yeah.
You're going to be waking me up snoring. It's going to be brutal.
I'm going to need a CPAP machine while I'm awake.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Shaw Strength Podcast. I am here with Devon and Auden Larratt.
Perfect.
Very good.
Guys, they're down in Colorado, so we have been doing we're going to call it a training camp. Training camp, getting ready for my first super match. Will be King of the Table 13 on December 14th. That's in Atlantic City here in the United States. Looking forward to it, man. But I figured it'd be a good opportunity to hop on here, talk shop a little bit, kind of learn a little bit more about you guys. We don't have a super long time today because we've been busy training.
Very busy.
And doing all the things and eating.
I'm on my way. You've teased me so much.
Devon, here, look at this, guys. Devon has promised me, vowed even, that 300 pounds on the scale, 300 pounds. He's never been there in his life. We'll be there in February.
I think February.
Okay.
I think when I compete next, that's my goal. I'm trying to manifest all these pieces.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like a small person. You've been.
Well, you do. I mean.
Yeah. The first number is 2. The first number is 4.
I kept saying that, right? Like when your weight starts with 2, it's just, I mean, it's not as good as 4, right? And 3's better.
It's really
3's better.
Yeah. There were a lot of things said, you got to sit in the back seat of the car.
Hurtful things.
Yeah, it made me feel small.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you could add a few pounds. That's, it's one of those things. Like, most people are like, hey, maybe you should lose a few pounds. Nope, you should gain.
The same way that we have been maybe the icing on your arm wrestling cake.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are now.
I'm trying to give something back. This is me trying to give something. I mean, the weight gain thing, I feel like I can maybe be the catalyst, right? Like to push these buttons for you and just drive this 300 pounds just into existence.
I've wanted to be huge my whole life.
Yeah.
But never have I had a 460-pound dude be ridiculing me.
I'm not at 460 right now. I have been in that neighborhood.
It's a different level of motivation now.
That's fair. I like it. Auden, what do you think? You think he's going to get there?
I think since we've done this trip, something has sparked more in him and me as well. I'm going to keep him honest. I'm going to keep him eating as well as I will be eating. Both of us will go on this bulking journey together.
So what is it like? Here's what I want to know. What is it like for both of you? And I want both your opinion on this. Like to be around this, right? Because Devon, like I've got boys, right? My two sons, and they're getting, into different things, different activities, and kind of going through life and navigating the course. What is it like to have Auden like join you in this arm wrestling world, right? Like to love it and to be passionate about it? Because spending time with both of you, I wasn't sure what it would be like, and the passion is obviously there, right? Like it's a knowledge base that both of you guys have, but the passion is palatable, right? Like it's there. So what is it like for you? And then I want to hear what you think about like your dad being in this world and you growing up in it.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I'll go first. Yeah.
There you go.
So
beautiful.
I love it. I have such a great role model to look up to. I have so many opportunities, so many things that I know that have been taught by him.
Yeah.
That most arm wrestlers can't even start to fathom. So I'm very much ahead in a lot of ways because of the things that he has done and the things that he's been able to do for me. And I love it. I love to be able to follow something that he's also interested in. So it gives us a shared interest, which is very, very nice.
Yeah. What age did you start going? Like, so, I mean, you grew up around it, obviously. Yeah. It's in your house, but like, when did you start actually going to, you know, the different clubs and that type of thing?
So it's the real answer is about 2 years ago, but that's almost like paints a false picture, because I'd been going to clubs since I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
And I'd like won provincials. I'd competed probably around 50 times already, like competed.
What age did you start competing?
There wasn't really an age I wasn't competing.
Just in?
Yeah, really. Like there was kids classes.
3 or 4 years old.
I could walk. There's videos of me not even able to walk to the table. Like my dad had to hold me up to the table. That's awesome. Pulling somebody else who else other dad was holding the table. So I've been doing this like before I could walk. Forever. Yeah, really. Yeah. But hardcore 2 years ago, I started training every single day without fail and eating and thinking arm wrestling constantly.
So that was kind of like a conscious switch. The decision was made for you at that point. Like, I'm in this 100%.
And that's because of my shoulder injury. It really it limited what I could do. I couldn't play a lot of different sports. I couldn't do a lot of different activities.
And what happened? What happened there? Just so everybody knows.
So I fell out of a whitewater raft that my brother was actually navigating, and the force of the water just ripped me open and dislocated my shoulder, like tore a bunch of stuff. Like,
and
totally.
This is right or left?
Left. This is left.
Okay.
And it just kept coming out to the point where I was going to need surgery. So I got the surgery and I was in a sling, and I'm like, what can I do? I have my right arm. I can't really do whole body stuff because it really hurts. So I started to pronate with my left. With my right. And I fell in love. And I'm like, I need to do this more.
And what age did that injury happen?
I was 17. I was 17.
So a couple years ago is kind of, and that was the pivotal moment.
That was a big moment for me. That was, I really fell in love with arm wrestling when I was in that period. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's it like for you? Like, did you see something in him early, like where he showed more passion around it, or was it something you weren't sure? Because I know you've said to me, like, you definitely weren't trying to push him into it, or the expectations weren't there, none of that.
Auden's always had really crisp technique. From the time he was a kid, he had a just fantastic arm wrestling technique. It was something we did on the side. When he bit, it was around the time I was prepping for Levan, I think. Was it?
No, it was Prudnik, actually.
It was Prudnik?
Remember, you almost didn't do the Prudnik match
right, because of the surgery.
But we got my surgery bumped up before, so that's why the match could still happen. Well, what do you think would have happened if we couldn't bump the surgery? Everything would be different.
Everything would be different.
Wouldn't have pulled Prudnik.
Yeah. Everything worked. When you're a younger man and you have kids, you're busy. It's busy when you have little kids, and you're doing your thing. Obviously, they're not really able to be peers with you. You're a father. They're your children, and talking to Jody, we'd be like, imagine when they're like older and we can play games with them and they can like push me, and Jody'd be like, oh, I don't know if you're gonna like that, Devon, if these kids end up beating you, and I'm like, oh no, and then the years go by, and Auden's just a fantastic student of arm wrestling. Really, at the age he is now, I mean, I can really truly say that he's a tremendous arm wrestling athlete.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell that. I can tell that too, just from the knowledge base and it's a passion and knowledge and like something that you truly love, right? It's not like there's no front there. It's not like, oh, my dad's been this world champion and done all these things, and now I'm stepping in. Like, how driven are you to kind of make your own name?
I'm
like, do you think about that? Do you think about that, like going in, like, is it like, okay, my dad did what he did, but like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Of course. I mean, my goal is to achieve more than he can. It's a very difficult goal, but like, there's nothing less that I want. I want to be the greatest I can possibly be.
Sure.
And I'm in an awesome spot where I can see all the mistakes he made. I can see all the things he did right.
Well, you can help navigate that course too, right? So it's advice and like, hey, this worked, this didn't work. So it's almost like any pitfalls you did have could be ironed out
Yes.
like coming forward,
Yes.
right? And even some of the things that you've told me, it's like just sharing the knowledge that you did, like is helping me on my journey too, right? So like you're sharing these things. It's such a fascinating thing, man, because like to go through the career that you have, there's a lot of things that have been learned, right? Like a lot of things that have and been learned the hard way, right? Like so to be able to have that like in your corner all the time has got to be such an asset, right? Like such a tool.
It's awesome
that you can like kind of feed from, learn from, but then go on and like you know, I mean, how does it make you feel to hear him say that he wants to exceed what you did?
You know, look at I always just want happiness for my kid, so long as that's right at the top of what results he's getting. I'm just thrilled. I don't really care whether Auden surpasses me. To me, it's irrelevant. All that I care is that he's good, he's healthy, he's happy.
Yeah.
And if he's right there beside me or ahead of me, I'm thrilled.
Beautiful.
I'm totally thrilled. And I'm really happy for, you know, where we are as a family. You know, together we are moving forward now.
Yeah.
It's not really like I am still the teacher, I think.
I would agree.
I am still the senior.
Yeah.
I am, but I'm telling you, we're more like peers now. We're more.
That's cool. Yeah.
Like Auden will come up with ideas that are completely relevant, that are things that I don't think of, and so together we will forge our way forward.
Yeah.
And look at, I mean, he's 19. And he gets to see, you know, the greatest strength athlete, you know, get to spend time in your gym. You know, it's these kind of opportunities to me make me really happy as a father that like, I never had these opportunities when I was 19.
Sure.
You know? So I think that's really cool. And you know, there's crazy ideas that I have. Like we joke about it. Like we say, can you imagine one day if we're both holding world title belts?
Yeah.
You know?
That's, well, look, man, I mean, it's, what I would take from that is like hearing you talk about your goals. Like if my son were to say, I've got these goals and ambitions, that would make, I mean, I would love that, right? Like you, okay, cool. Like I'm going to help you in any way that I can to go after your goals. I just want you to be the best that you can be, right? Like that's such a beautiful thing.
Our house is a wonderful place of peace and focus. You know, we are all very aligned on the same goal. Like our entire family structure, our entire team, we are all just doing our best to be champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. So cool. So what's the in the upcoming future here, right? Like what's next on both of your plates? Like, I mean, and you can share as much or as little as you want to.
Well, I want to leave a mark on this sport that, you know, I just love the sport so much. I want to continue to do it, and I want to continue to challenge myself. I want to try and do things that might not be possible. Right now, I've got 3 crowns. I've touched 3 categories at East versus West right now. King and Table. This is the pinnacle of our sport.
Yep.
I've got right hand open, 115 and 105 categories kind of checked that I've touched.
Yep.
At the top, I want to do the same thing in the left. Ultimately, I want basically every single match that I do to be at the highest level possible. I want to go after world titles as long as I'm able. Left hand is woke up again. I've been 6 years training my right, and my left is awake again, and it's doing fantastic. I want to get the super heavyweight world title left hand.
Left hand.
I want it. I think I can manifest it. I think I can make it happen. The guy,
Well, you've been putting that out there.
yeah,
Right? Like, you know, that, and we got to see a little bit at East versus West.
I'm gonna kill this guy, Brian.
Yeah.
So
Morozov is the target.
Yeah,
That's the target.
100%.
That's, I mean, this has come up now just during this few days we got to spend together. It's come up frequently, right? Yeah. Like, and it seems like something you're very driven towards, which is super. I mean, it's super excited to hear from me. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited to hear that as well, right? In the arm wrestling world, you know, seeing this match happen. I mean, I want to see it. I think it'd be great, man.
one of the things that makes me happy is I've seen it. You know, there's been sparks that have transformed arm wrestling culture a little bit. I feel like never before has the West been so unified in our attempt for greatness.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like, you know, if you even go back like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, we were all fighting. It's all infighting. North American champions, we have a target on each other. We're fighting each other. And now I feel like we're unifying. We're all coming together. We have a Titan. You know, and we are going after the West. I want to bring back titles to the West. They've been beating us for a while.
Yeah.
I want that to change.
I love it, man. And I mean, it's kind of neat to think of that extended team aspect, right? Like where it's like, all right, yeah, I want to see this guy be successful, help him out, and then grow together, you know, because it's, you know, a healthy level of competition for sure. But then, you know, when you got people in your corner and kind of backing you up and you know, the growth can happen at a rapid rate. And I think it's such a unique thing in a way, right? Because I mean, I've trained in strongman, for example, with other Americans, right? Like, so it's like, okay, well, you have so many Americans that go to the top contests, and sometimes you get together and train and, you know, build up, and you want to see that, you know, happen, right? Like you're representing your country. Like these type of things to me were important. So it is neat to hear, like, okay, well, the West as a collective, right? Growing, getting better, getting stronger, like being a much more formidable, you know, juggernaut of an opponent, right? Like, I think that's a neat thing to hear and to talk about. And I think that a lot of people are excited about that.
Yeah. You see it more and more. It's not always about training together.
Yeah.
It's about sharing resources. It's about sharing connections, sharing information, plugging people in where before you might have held something for yourself. And now, you know, we are trying to all grow as a team together. Yeah. You know, I just hate the fact that we go over there and they beat us. I hate it because it is East versus West.
Yeah.
It's right in the banner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's such such an interesting thing, man. Well, I mean, I hope that comes to fruition. You know, the 300-pound goal is achieved.
Oh, it's coming.
The power, the mass. I mean, just the animal that will come in February, right? Hopefully you won't sound quite that bad, but.
Yeah, you're going to be waking me up snoring. It's going to be brutal.
I'm going to need a CPAP machine while I'm awake.
Well, I mean, if you start knocking on, I think for you, that's more of like a 350 type of deal.
Like Darth Vader walking around. Yeah. Scuba tank all the time.
Yeah. You could build a green sweatshirt that has a pocket built in. Right, something like this.
Yeah, like a little attachment on the back that I could slip a canister in.
Yeah,
right to the front
all the time. You just rolling, man.
Yeah.
Auden, what's up for you, man?
Yeah,
because you had the Korean Hulk, right? Was your last one?
I did. That was
awesome. That worked out good. Good match. Yeah.
Korean Hulk was incredible. He's so strong in so many different areas. As we've shown you, a lot of the sport is technical, and I was able to get him to hold on, which you now know it can be a lot of trouble if somebody's holding on to you.
Yeah.
So that was a huge win for me because he was way stronger, but I was able to technically dismantle. But my next one, I've been trying to set a couple things up. My goal is I want to pull this guy from India. He's one of the best Indians out there in the world. He's young. He's a WAF champions. That's the World Arm Wrestling Federation.
Okay. Widely
regarded as one of like the highest levels of tournament pulling.
Yep.
And he's won it. He weighs more than me, and everything about it points to he should beat me.
Okay.
In reality, I think I can win.
All right.
And I'm trying to set this match up. Who knows if it's going to happen?
And you're around the same age, you said?
He's a little bit younger than me, actually.
Okay.
But he's one of those guys who developed really young.
Yeah.
Full beard at like 14.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a freak. He's a total freak. And he's awesome. So I'm hopefully pulling him, but we'll see how it goes. And really I'm training like it's happening. I'm going to keep trying to get better. I'm going to keep trying to grow.
Would that be kind of early-ish 2025 then?
That would be the plan. That
Okay.
would be the rough plan. Sometime either February, March, around there, I think. Yeah.
Love it.
I don't think he wants it.
I don't know if that's the thing. He might not want it. It seems like he's a little bit scared of me because.
So you got some type of response.
Yes.
then?
Well,
yeah, we got a couple.
The match was floated actually by them at first, I think.
It was.
We were hearing about Abbas or people in Abbas's camp kind of pushing his name forward. A lot of people pushed Abbas's name at us, one of the choices. And there were a couple agencies that reached out, a couple organizations, and we said, yeah, we do the match. And then it's been a bit silent.
A little bit. And the thing is, it's not like he hasn't heard that I want the match or something.
Sure. Was this before or after your last one?
After.
So all the correspondence was after.
Well, the thing is, we started talking about it before. And
Okay.
Before he seemed very
So
interested.
you think they saw your performance there and maybe it changed a little bit?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
It seems like he was very eager to do it before. From all accounts, it seemed like, yeah, he wanted the match, and then I beat Korean Hulk quite dominantly.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's kind of weird.
Not sure.
It's a little bit unsure. Hopefully, it's just some sort of miscommunication, and he still wants the match. We could do it, but
Sure.
only time will tell.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that's kind of how things go, right? Like both parties have to agree, right?
Yeah,
at some point, and then you've got people that are making matches and trying to come up with the best scenario. And then, of course, you can look at the rankings, to some extent. It's been fascinating for me to learn more about this world and, kind of how it works and what might be an interesting matchup, for different technical reasons. Like these type of things are, as you get into it a little bit more, it's going to be interesting. So you look at, the king of the table here coming up. I think Levan and Jerry Caderet is an interesting one, man. And I haven't seen as many people talking about that, and I don't know if the arm wrestling world thinks that Levan is such an overwhelming favorite, which he obviously is going in as the favorite. I don't think anybody would say anything different there, but it's Jerry's an interesting one. Like with the way that he's going to attack this thing. Like, what are your guys' thoughts? Yeah. If you have thoughts on it, like what do you think?
I mean, to me, and I think most of the arm wrestling community, Levan is just such a freak. He's so far ahead of the pack that anytime Levan pulls anybody, it's expected that Levan will 6-0. We'll sweep the floor. It's expected that it won't even really be a match. If anything other than that happens, people freak out. So, in my opinion, Jerry has a very small chance, but the chance is still there.
Yeah.
If somehow Levan makes a mistake
opens the door
and gets caught in some weird spot that he's not used to, Jerry could be in there. And right now, I think you'd agree this form of Jerry is probably the best that's ever been. Like just looking at him, looking at how thick he looks, how ready he looks really good. Yeah. So maybe Jerry can shock the world, but in my opinion, Levan's probably got it.
Okay.
Jerry's victory is growing in my mind.
Interesting.
It is.
For what reason?
I don't know.
Just a feeling?
It is a feeling. It's a feeling I have. I mean, here's the situation. Levan is in our sport considered like just such an immense figure. Okay, he's been immeasurable. He's been so dominant. Okay, he ticks every box. From versatility to strength to intelligence, he's got it all. Jerry Caderet is a puzzle. Jerry Caderet is a veteran. It's going to be in U.S. soil. This is It's not far away from where Jerry lives, right? Isn't he on the East Coast somewhere?
Not far at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Jerry Caderet has some pieces in his favor. He's unique. Yes, Levan has faced flappers pressures before. He hasn't faced Jerry Caderet. One mistake, and
it opens the door potentially.
Every champion falls.
Yeah.
No champion goes forever.
Well, it's a lot. I think it's such an interesting thing. I mean, you bring that up, and you look at Levan, and the way that he has been so dominant, right? There's a certain amount of expectation, and the interesting thing, I mean, if you look at him, for example, let's just say that Jerry gets one round, right? And Levan still is dominant, right? He, some reason, gets caught in a bad position, and Jerry gets one on him, but he still wins. Everybody will look at that and talk about it in such a big way, I'm sure. Right? Like when that would be huge news.
People would
lose their mind. And it's all because like this guy's like at the top. He's at the mountaintop, like everybody chasing him, huge target. Like everybody wants to go after him. Like something like that with going into a match. I wonder, if you're Levan, what are you mentally thinking about there? Like is it obviously strategy wise, go in, like walk up there. I mean, does that go through your mind with this guy being so kind of unorthodox with the way that he might approach things?
Levan. Look, I talk about Jerry, his chance growing. The reality is Levan is very special. Okay?
Yeah.
Really, we haven't had a champion like him. I don't believe we ever have ever. To get a win on him is nobody's done it. And has there been a win on? When is the last time there's even a single round?
I mean, technically, 2 were conceded to Hermes, but that was after the 4
doesn't
had
count.
been done.
Doesn't count. Matches,
because they didn't even.
Doesn't count. On a technicality, sure, but I don't really count it.
No, it's not the same as actually being in contention.
You win
so
the
it's
match.
been a substantial amount of time.
Like we're talking about it's starting to approach a decade. Okay, it's not a decade, but I mean, was it 2017?
I don't remember one lost since then.
I don't think he's lost a match since 2017.
Not just a match, hasn't lost a round.
Not a single round in one match. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, super dominant. Yeah. Really so that's why it would be such huge news if anything were to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to say like Jerry's victory is growing is like that's such a
I can't help but think he's got a chance.
Well, of course. Here's the thing. This is sport for you, right? Like any sport, you could look and there's been undefeated teams that have gone in and everybody's just saying, you know what, like they're going to wipe the floor, and all of a sudden it's you take your foot off the gas a little bit. You don't maybe respect it as much as you should or something, right? And you see perfect teams fail. We have seen this, right? So it's not. If there was not a chance for Jerry, there's no reason for them to even have the match.
Well, there's a chance,
right? Like that's the truth, right? It's the scoreboard always starts. It's always 0-0, right? Like it's going to start that way no matter what.
Arm wrestling is human smash up derby.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple choices. We know that when they say go, Jerry is moving that shoulder forward.
Yeah.
He is coming right at Levan. Levan has 2 choices: either top roll, okay, and see if he can bang him right to the pad outside. And he's so good that his move's going to work and Jerry is irrelevant. Okay.
Yep.
That's a possibility. But from a technical perspective, that's not the way to do it. Okay. If he does that, Jerry has an opportunity to stop the match and beat him. Okay. And then you have the other choice. Levan is going to come right inside with him. And that is a frightening thing to do with a very, very strong and focused Jerry Carteret. Sometimes that's just not there. And we'll know just watching the match, the way they're standing, the way Levan starts leaning back, that's a top roll. If Levan is like getting in there with his wrist and the shoulder and
really coming forward. Yeah. So how do you think that plays out then? If he does, let's just say he does come forward.
Okay, listen, Levan basically, I'm telling you, we don't have a lot of chances to beat this guy. He's going to probably be a really big, strong guy with good technique who finally does beat him, okay? There are a few guys who have chances, okay? Jerry's got a chance. Michael's got a chance. Vitaly Leton's got a chance. There might be a couple other people who might have chances.
Is there a man sitting at this table with me that has a chance?
Well, there might be 3 of us. Okay. In our own way.
Yeah.
Okay. You might have a chance, and once you get your technique and your everything accustomed.
Okay.
Okay. If I somehow get my life perfectly aligned, okay, you never know, but it's further down the road.
Well, I mean that 300 number gets surpassed, brother.
Believe me, I'm not hard to convince to do silly things. Okay, but and you just never know.
Well, how silly is it if you're over 300? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I want to get 6 crowns.
All I'm going to say to you, listen, 6 crowns is happening, but listen, you are a different animal than when you were here I mean, we're what, 5 months ago now? Something like that when you came out? You're a different animal.
I am.
And that was coming off of the Levan match.
Yeah.
Right? But your energy is different. Everything, it's just different. That's everybody can take that the way they want to take it. But I'm telling you that it's different. Like everything's different. So
thank you for
it's
noticing.
a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel different. I feel a level of alignment, of congruency, of everything going the same direction, that I haven't been able to accomplish in my life before.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's wild, as you age, you come to different realizations, and it's not always the weight that you lift, it's not always the food that you eat, it's the way you sleep, it's the relations that you have, it's the relations you have with your family and your community that just lines everything up for smoothness, no snag points, aerodynamic.
Yeah. I like it. That's awesome, man. So what do you think? I think, obviously we've talked now about you guys a little bit. What are your assessments? Because people are going to be curious of this. Mm-hmm. Like assessments of where I'm at. Like, you got to feel me. Well, technically speaking, my first table time, like legitimate, like actually getting in a strap, pulling on a table was with you, which is pretty neat for me, to be fair. Right? Like, I mean, I had not, yes, I'd had a table and messed around, whatever, but like actually pulling against somebody and putting a strap on, like you pulled it out right away and we put it on, and so that was neat. It was a neat learning thing. Very steep learning curve initially. And not that I'm still not in that steep learning curve, because that's the truth, but like the assessment of where I'm at in the progression, because this is still very early, and I'm the first one that has said this. Like it's, I think naturally the expectations are going to be very high, and it's cool that people are excited, right? Like it makes me feel good that people are excited. I think like overall, like the arm wrestling community, overall, right? Like I think you got people that are pretty excited, and then you do have a group that is kind of like, I'm unsure about Brian. I don't know if he's in this 100%, or he's never going to do it. He's never going to do anything. He's not capable of doing any of this. So you have that crowd over there that isn't very welcoming, but like I would say that overwhelmingly, like the majority is like pretty excited and welcoming and that type of thing. So, after getting to spend a couple days together, like it's, and you can say whatever, like I don't expect you to say anything that's not true. It's
honest
just kind
assessment.
of yeah.
On, you want to go first?
Yeah. I would say, obviously you have overwhelming strength and everything already. Arm wrestling moves, like already the pronation, the cup, everything is coming together very nicely. Of course, there's always more to learn. Yeah. But what we have taught you so far, very clearly you've picked up on very well. And like even just today, when we were messing around doing the leg stand stuff, you are already in these last couple of days significantly better in the way you set up, the way you're not holding on. It's very promising. Everything that I've seen in this trip has been very promising. I think you got a very bright future in arm wrestling.
I love it.
I can give you a bit of a longer assessment. I've known you a bit longer.
Yep.
And I've known people like you a little bit. Okay, so
your perspective is going to be different for sure. Yeah.
When you meet a world level athlete, okay, someone who's accomplished what you've done, okay, it's a big investment. All right, so you look at when somebody has a world champion accolade behind their name, right away you can assume a lot of things. They're driven, they're talented, they worked hard, and that's great. And that's a sign that they're a world champion. They've accomplished that. They should maybe be able to accomplish it again. But sometimes when you're a world champion, you've given, you've sacrificed. It's cost you. And one of the wonderful things about you that I feel is it hasn't really cost you as much as it has a lot of athletes.
Yeah. Like
a lot of, 40-year-old athletes who have been world champions, who have accomplished what you've done, will carry much more injury.
Yeah.
I don't feel that that's the case with you. I feel like you have a lot of growth still in you, like your energy, your state of flexibility, your ability to move your joints. Everything is good. Obviously, you're a giant piece of clay. okay, that still can, it will take time for all the strength that you have amassed in your life and that is just naturally within you to get dialed into the sport of arm wrestling. You are already at a tremendous level. We didn't have to come here and your victory was already assured.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
I believe that to be true. As soon as I saw what you did with Chris Kaufman, I was like, oh, he's got it. He's got it. You know, your hand, your length, once your body starts to condition towards arm wrestling, which truthfully, it is years.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. Even when you're at your level, okay, it takes time. The things that I find are really great about you is that is a lot of pressure, and you seem to be very dedicated to the process, and you are you haven't let your accomplishments make you less hungry.
Yeah.
I still sense a guy who loves the idea of work. You know, a lot of people, you know, do you want to retire? And people are like, yeah, I want to retire. I want to relax. I don't sense that in you.
No, yeah. No, it's true, man. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So I think that this is going to be a great breakup for you. The thing that is actually, I mean, people talk about you and right away you're a giant, but it's my belief that that's not your greatest attribute. I think you're savagely driven, and I believe that there's a switch in you, and I believe that you contain great violence within you.
Yeah.
I think that you're a very gentle and nice guy, but I think that you have the capacity to fucking be an absolute savage.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that in the sport of arm wrestling, you're really going to enjoy that because
it's something, and I mean, I've not talked about this a whole heck of a lot. It's something that I haven't got to necessarily do, right? So channeling, getting into that type of mental spot is probably the best way to say it. Was within strongman, you're certainly competing against the man next to you, right? Like or everybody in the contest, but the outlet is against the weight, against the implement, which isn't fighting back, but that's what I have to do to beat these guys. Now we're at a table where my objective is to go somewhere, and if your arm comes with me, that's what's going to happen, right? So it's a truly hand-to-hand combat, right? So it's a fascinating thing because I played basketball before strongman, right? So yes, you're kind of in a contact type of thing, but you're playing basketball, right? You can do a foul somebody, push, get in position, that type of thing. But it's not necessarily how you win and lose is not based on just, a physical feat like arm wrestling is, right? So, I mean, you look at wrestling, MMA, boxing, these types of things where it's like truly like you're against somebody and you're walking out there to beat them, physically beat them. And this is what arm wrestling is, right? So it's such a fascinating thing when you truly break it down, because that's what it is. Because if you look at arm wrestling, and I did it as a kid, you're in school and you're like, all right, get on the table, we're going to arm wrestle, because that's what, so people do it at every level. And when people are arm wrestling, typically people want to watch because somebody is going to have to eat some humble pie after it's done, right? Like that's just the nature of the beast. But like you said, it's a different mental spot to get to, right? And flipping that type of switch, which I'm actually very excited about within me, right? Like I think that, I have said this a little bit before where I got to train for this, potential, MMA match and whatever. And I was really having to dig within a different spot within my brain for that, right? Because you're training, it's like, well, you're gonna get ready to throw an elbow. And I was ready to throw an elbow, right? But it's like as you're training with a dummy or training with your partners, obviously you're practicing the move, but never with that scenario. Obviously you're not hitting your training partner, not killing your training partner as it's going. But I had to mentally get in a spot where I was ready to do that. And if that elbow went into whoever's face and their jaw completely broke, whatever, like I was having to envision that happening and being fine with it. It's like, I'm training for this, right? Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, which thankfully, yes, are there potential injuries in arm wrestling? Of course there are, right? It'd be silly to say that there are not. But being okay with like, all right, we're going to lock up. I might get hurt. You might get hurt. That's just the nature of the beast, right? Like, I'm not going to try to keep you safe when we're in an actual match. So like, yeah, you train on the table, but it's a different intensity when you walk out to have a match. So, yes, I'm going into, you probably can tell I'm excited about it, but it's just like unleashing that and being okay with unleashing that, right? Like just digging in, man. Like this is, and then if it does become a test of will, I love that. Because now it's like, are you going to quit or am I going to quit? Right? Like and you've been in all sorts of matches. I'm sure both of you guys have, where it's like, okay, you're in a great position. Is the person going to quit or not? Like, and then it does become a mental battle within the physical battle. Like all of these things are fascinating. Like when you start to break it down, which makes it fun, man. And then like, as you understand more, which, and probably some people listening to this haven't dug below the surface level of arm wrestling and understand like how much there is in the setup, how much, that is part of the actual fight itself, right? Like, and when you start to kind of peel back those layers, it becomes more and more fascinating to watch, to be engaged with, so I'm loving the layers of it. That's what I would say, is I'm loving the layers, and that outlet's going to be fun for me, I think. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Great.
We'll see how it goes, man.
Once you like, really start to integrate the progressive lifting part of it.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting too.
And I'm excited about that. We've kind of talked about the path now, which I have what I have in front of me. And then from there, opening it up a little bit and figuring out like where the training goes moving forward, because some of these things have to be built up. Right? That's just the nature of what it is. And I'm also, and I think you touched on this a little bit, and I think that sometimes, and I've seen this too, people get comfortable with their accomplishments, right? And they kind of lose that fire, right? Like, it's like, okay, am I really going to step out of this zone and challenge myself in a completely different way? Because, the truth is with me, I could have retired from strongman, all the accomplishments, and said, hey, you know what? I'm hanging my hat up. I don't need to compete anymore. I'm good, whatever. So like, I'm in a way taking a risk, stepping outside of that for sure. Right. And being humble enough to say like, look, I'm not going to walk into arm wrestling as the best. Just not possible. Right. I'm going to walk in and be a formidable potential threat. But like, I have to climb, I have to grow, I have to get better, right? And it's an interesting thing. But let me ask you this on that, like as a potential question, like as a crossover, because you talk about legacy. How many people have crossed over that didn't come up in arm wrestling, weren't part of it? How many people have crossed over? Have there been any guys that crossed over that were like, hey, they were at a very, very high level in a different sport and then came in and been successful at any level in arm wrestling?
It's rare. I can think of two.
I mean, Hunter Knopfs was pro motocross. He came to arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Hunter Knopfs. He was a pro motocross guy.
Okay.
And he went from there into arm wrestling.
He's a newer guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at Dennis, came from strongman.
But he'd arm wrestled before.
Yeah, but still cross sport. Look at Vavoda, was bobsled gold medalist.
Opposite though.
Both.
He started arm wrestling, went to bobsleds. It's kind of reverse.
So a little bit of crossover.
There's been a couple.
There's been a good number of guys who've come from bodybuilding.
Okay.
You got a bunch of guys who've come from powerlifting. Eric Spotto is bad dude. But from the strength sports, we have strongman, we have powerlifters, we have bodybuilders. It typically
what type of turnover though? I mean, you see somebody come in and it's like, okay, did they have, how much longevity did they have within arm wrestling? Because it's different. I would argue, I guess, that like there's coming in and they're coming in, but then do they stick around? What level do they get to? Like, are they actually committed? That would be the question, right? Like, and then that commitment level, what does it take? Because, I can tell that this is not a short-term, it's not like, this match and then, in 6 months I'm right there, right? Like it's a long-term process.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's hard to do initially because it's going to be a hit on your ego. You were a champion and now, but I think over the course of 3 or 4 years, you bring in a unique knowledge. You bring a unique knowledge, a unique past into the sport, which I believe most certainly once your conversion starts to go, I mean, you're going to bring unique attributes into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's going to have your overall power.
It's a fascinating, and again, I'm just, you kind of think of, different things. And I think I don't know, a couple people out there have made comments like, okay, if I'm able to cross over into arm wrestling from strongman, because I could have stayed within strongman. The truth is I didn't have to retire, right? It wasn't like my body was broken down or I was hurt or whatever. I made the call. I called the shot to walk away, right? So it wasn't like I was forced out, where a lot of guys are so beat down and broken when they walk away that it's like they have to leave. They want to stay, but they have to leave because they can't do it, So it's an interesting thing to cross over and then start and climb again. But I think the argument, and this is not for me to say necessarily, but if you think of legacy, impact, challenges you've overcome, things you've been able to achieve, I think making some type of mark, whatever that mark might be, at whatever level within arm wrestling, will add to my strength legacy in a different way, because now you're coming into this world that's not, anybody that's been in it understands it's not easy, right? So I think that's like incentivizing me as well, right? Like, because it's a new challenge. I like challenge, right? Like I seek out, like I think in order to maintain discipline, I like challenge. I like to have challenges so that I stay disciplined as well, right? Because if I walk away from strongman, don't do anything else, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to do that. I don't need to train that hard for anything. I'm not really, my back's not against the wall. I don't need to have any of that. Like, I think that I would get soft, and not even just saying it like physically soft. It'd be like mentally soft, right? Like I want the challenge. Like I like hard things to challenge me in different ways, right? Because I think that it keeps me sharp. So I don't know. It's such a fascinating thing to think about, because as you dig a little bit deeper, it's an interesting game.
This is the hardest time. You've picked the most difficult time to enter.
The highest of peaks.
Highest of peaks. For sure. There's no doubt about that.
The arm wrestling world,
you can't beat around the bush about that, for sure.
It's never been this structured, this organized. It used to, if you had to come in the sport like even like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it would have been less than half as difficult.
Yeah.
Now the entire world of arm wrestling is unified. Okay, the best face the best all the time, and it's just way more difficult. The prizes are greater, the incentive is greater. To win a world title now in arm wrestling is a big deal.
Yeah,
it'll change your life. If you won a world title in arm wrestling 15 years ago,
here's a hot dog.
Sure.
Now it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You beat Levan, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now, and you're talking about 6.
I'm talking about 6.
So big deal, huge deal, massive deal. I mean, that's ridiculous, man.
I'm probably one of the more specialized athletes in the world, I believe. When you look at the degree to which arm wrestling is my life, I mean, look at there's a lot of athletes who do their thing and everybody's focused. At 49, it's my full-time job.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, from morning to night, obviously I have things in my life, but I do everything I can to minimize those.
Yeah.
I love the process.
It's such an interesting thing. And we were talking about this a touch, with your build, right? To be able to cross over to different weight classes. I mean, you almost couldn't, in a way, I know we're joking about 300, but you almost couldn't pick a better body to do that. Because if you drop down a weight, as we just saw at 105 kilos, your frame, your levers, like all of this is ridiculous, right? Like it's such a formidable force, but dropping down and then coming across weight categories, because the truth is, okay, yeah, I've got the frame, I do. I can't, there's no way I can get to 105 kilos. Impossible.
I'm extremely grateful.
But you see what I'm saying though, or you see the point I'm trying to make?
I have had
it's crazy, man.
I've had so much help.
Yeah.
I've been helped by so many people.
Yeah.
If it was just me, I would be dead and washed up a long time ago. I've had surgeries, doctors have helped me. I have so many people who, have come into my life who have provided for me. I like to believe that, I say it all the time, I am your spear. Okay. And what that means to me is that I love the fact that I'm in this position where I get to dedicate my life to human performance and to just commit to the trials and the evaluation of that, to dedicate my life to becoming a better physical performer and combat specialist, in the sport of arm wrestling.
Yeah.
But the truth is nobody gets there alone.
Yeah.
And
which is true. Yeah, man. Look,
I'm very blessed.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And I've had a lot of people that have helped me out too, right? Like, and I think that's such a good point to touch on. Like, you're on this journey for sure. You haven't done it alone. I mean, you got people in your corner right now. Like, there's a lot of people. Like, you talk about energy in the world and people you surround yourself with. Like, this is all a big part of it. And I very much believe that. Like, this is an ebb and a flow, and what you put out to the world is what you get back. And like, I mean, there's a lot of really good things there. But the truth is too, you have been given gifts, right? You're a gifted guy for sure, but you've also combined that with an incredible work ethic and mental fortitude that few people, if anybody, can even touch, right? So like that, as far as you being a champion, like there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but without those pieces too, you're not where you are.
Life is complicated, like as a human being on planet Earth, the options, what you want to do with your life is limitless.
Yeah.
You can do all sorts of things, and I humbly have decided that I'm very okay with just focusing on this one little piece.
Yeah.
And from there, I will unfold truth.
Yeah.
I will find truth through the mastery of a very small piece of what life is.
Yeah.
And I'm very content with that.
Yeah.
I'm very content. I feel very lucky that I've gotten to this place where I don't have a need to do other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you eliminate distractions, right? You're an interesting animal, man. And I've got to, spend enough time now, like around you and interact and that type of thing. When you go to a match, because a lot of people will have seen you right around your matches, right? You bring a different, I'm going to call it mental warfare, right? Like, but the way that you approach the match is such a different thing. And I've seen you now interact with different people. Like, we've gone out in public with these trips, and when people recognize you, you're so happy to take pictures. And like, so it's such an interesting thing, because I think fans of the sport, a lot of it is they're going to tune in to watch your match, right? Whether they're rooting against you or rooting for you, like, but you accept this role, and then you go out there and like mess with your opponent in different ways, right? But it's all around winning. It's all around winning. So you have like these switches, and mainly one competitive switch that you go on and off, but your objective is to win, right? That's what it is. And that's the part like where I understand what you're doing, at a high competitive level. This is your objective, is to win, right? And so like anybody that asks me, I'm like, yeah, Devon's a great guy, man. I've been around him. We hang out, whatever. He's a heck of a competitor, right? Like, he's going to compete. And if you are in a match with him, you better get ready for everything coming from every angle, and just be ready, because it's coming, right? But it's also this entertainment factor to arm wrestling, where it's like, you bring charisma to it as well. And like, I don't know what your thoughts or feelings. Obviously, I'm just kind of talking about how you approach it. But, like you as a person, like people would listen to this and you're talking about these things and it's like, yeah, I love that Devon. But then this competitive Devon is like, it's like an alter ego that comes out,
It is.
Yeah.
It is an alter ego.
Yeah.
100%.
And you've bought into that. That's what it is.
I've cultivated it.
Yeah.
I've allowed it to grow. I've empowered it. I've let it free. There comes a time when I will transform a little bit, and I find that piece is essential. I don't think that in a really high stakes match that a lot of the qualities that bring you closer to your community and your family are what lead you to victory in that short time frame.
Sure.
And I like we talk about winning. I want to win, and the mindset required to winning is not always exactly the same.
Yeah.
In the moment, you have to be a bit more violent, and you have to like that. And I don't just want to win. Like, I want to win big. Like, really, like, I want to win in the most dominant fashion possible. I want, and the thing is it's not just that I want that. I would want that in return.
Sure.
Like, if you're going to beat me
in that fashion,
I don't want your mercy.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah.
I don't want it. I want you to kill me.
Yeah.
I want you to hurt me. I want you to make me run away from the table. I want you to teach me a lesson that I'll never forget.
Interesting.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's my gift.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't just beat you. I fucking annihilate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's better.
Yep.
I think it's better.
Auden, what do you think? Like, I mean, obviously you've seen your dad compete for a long time, right?
Yeah.
What do you think because you in some way, shape, or form, obviously, with making your name, you're going to have your strategy, the way that you do things. I mean, do you think that's something that you're learning right now, or is it like what do you foresee with it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of the same ideologies as him, just because I've grown up,
been around him,
and I understand why he does it to, I think, a very legit level where I really get every part of it.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do anything too crazy yet, and the way that I arm wrestle, it's I've never really destroyed an opponent other than arm wrestling whisperer. That was pretty bad actually. But whenever I pull most guys, I'll be hyper aggressive, hyper focused. I am not caring about how they feel. I'm not at all conceding in any aspect. I am there to destroy. Once the match is done, I'm happy to do whatever. But before and while the match is going, I am dominating in every way I know how.
Sure.
And the way he does it, I find it really funny because every once in a while he'll do some awesome show of incredible domination, like with Petrenko. Yeah. And I'll have friends and people hit me up being like, "Is your dad okay? Like, I saw that he seemed to be losing his mind." Yeah. And I find it that's when I know that he did a very good job.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me, listening to Auden, when I was 19, I was very different. Okay.
I've watched some of your older stuff and you've evolved, however you want to say it. Like you are different now. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of parts of me have evolved. Not just my mindset and all that, but the way I train, everything. And the thing is, Auden has been fast forwarded through all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what the future holds for Auden. I don't know what path he will lead, where he will go. But the thing is he's been fast forwarded. One way or another. He's been fast forwarded in technique, in nutrition, in understanding of the sport and all that surrounds it, in the mindset required to function at a high level. All this stuff I didn't have at 19.
Yeah.
It took me, a lifetime. So it'll be curious for me to see where this takes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, it's fascinating. It is fascinating. I'm loving this conversation, but unfortunately, our time is winding down, and we do have to get you guys to the airport. So I'm not gonna I mean, as much as I would love you to stay, I'm not going to make you miss your flight because you got training to do. You got to get back home and get back to the routine, man. But what I do want to say is I appreciate both you guys coming.
Thank you.
Like being here, the knowledge, the expertise that you shared has been, very valuable to me. And I appreciate it, man. It's been fun. So
it's our honor to work with you. Really, seriously, it is our honor to be any part of your journey. We've been fans of you for forever.
Very
and
long time.
to see you come in arm wrestling, all we want is your success. That's it.
Beautiful, man. Well, I want your success.
It's coming.
We trained for success, and success will come. So, well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to check these guys out, they are both on Instagram, both doing stuff on YouTube now, which is wonderful. So make sure you give them some love, give them a follow, check out their content for sure. And, if you enjoy the podcast, make sure to share it. It's the best way for us to grow the podcast and get it out to more people and hopefully continue things growing there. So hope you're all doing amazing. For now, going to be great. We'll check you guys later. If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.